Your book describes China to be the dominant factor in how India is going to shape its foreign policy in the years to come, at least in the near to immediate future. Um, this is a very paradoxical relationship to understand, because at one point before Galwan, it was described as a relationship where not, where no bullets were fired,
Mhm.
even though the border was in dispute. Then Galwan changes that. We go into eyeball to eyeball sort of confrontation between our troops, and then we have a rapprochement that certainly isn't a de-escalation, but it is perhaps the beginning of some sort of disengagement,
Mhm.
though there is still concern about whether India can trust China. Why do you call China the dominant factor in India's foreign policy?
So I think so. Three big reasons. One is when you have a global power rising at your doorstep, it is going to define your strategic circumstances in some major ways. And this has happened. India and China did not have a direct border until 1950-51, when China annexed Tibet. The This called PRC, People's Republic of China, annexed Tibet. So I think, but the rise has been so significant, economic rise particularly, that it's going to have direct consequences for India. So I think that's one thing that is fundamentally different from a lot of, the US and Soviet Union rose, and other major powers rose far away from India. China is right there. Second is, I think if you look back, it's not just Galwan, although I think that obviously played a role. I started writing this book much before Galwan and had similar
Mm.
conclusions even then. And it was, I think if you go back to, again, the run up to 1962, I devote quite a lot of time as to what happened when, what changed between India recognizing the PRC and working very constructively with China in 1954 to war in 1962. But then also we had incidents after 1967. There was a clash in Sikkim in 1987, late 1980s to early 1990s, in Samdorongchu in Arunachal Pradesh. There were tensions there, and then you had this cooling off period starting between around 1992, roughly Rajiv Gandhi's visit in '89, actually, to 2013 or so. And then we had a series after 2013 of standoffs. Fortunately not fatal in the first few cases, but then unfortunately in 2020 we had that. So it's a recurring problem, is what I'm saying. It's not a new problem that suddenly arose, although the gravity of it has increased. The third reason, I think, is if you look at India's relations with almost every other country and region, and almost every other issue in its foreign policy, China plays a major role today. In some, China's actions and behavior shaped India's relations. So if you look at India's relations with Russia, today Russia and China have an extremely close partnership, and India's engagement with Russia is now informed very
Mhm.
significantly by that. Pakistan, the China-Pakistan relationship, is one of the few countries that transfer nuclear technology to another country, quite openly, in fact, because of a shared concern about India.